Dummy Switch
Yep.
Pod,
Yes,
Unfiltered
sir.
Rugby Chat. Back for
Yep.
another week. Back for
Yep.
another week. Yeah, man. Concluding this preparation series, just wrapping it up on a Good Friday. How are you, Chris?
Oh no, I'm good. Good. How are you?
I'm good as always. Let's
It's
let's
a good
let's
Friday. It's a good Friday to be good, man.
yeah. Not a better day. Not a better day to be feeling
Man,
good.
you know
Uh,
this.
Bull Sharks. Sia Khaleesi's first game.
Mm,
Terrible conditions. Uh,
yeah.
I suppose you're happy about this one.
Yeah, look, I'm happy about this one. Like you say, terrible conditions, yes, but I felt both teams had the same conditions, and the Sharks just managed the conditions better. And I felt they just got
Surprisingly,
and I just felt they just the way that they're looking to play is sort of coming together, and you can see it now when they have more of their established and big name players in, they seem to sort of kick up another gear. You know, you're looking at guys like Fez Mbata as well up front. I think he
yeah, he
knows that
went over. He went over for a try early on there from a maul,
Mm,
as well. Just breaking off and giving it too low on that short
yeah.
angle. I think he had a big one.
Yeah, he definitely did have a big one, And then, of course, as you mentioned, Sekolisi's first game, there was a good try out there, out in the wide channels, well taken try, well worked. I feel like the Sharks are getting their cohesion going. The Bulls, I don't think they'll be too worried, because yes, they did have some of their established players back, but it's not all of them per se. But I think all around for them of late, the past few weeks, so their concerns is going to be it's definitely a scrum time. They don't have that balance. It's not necessarily when you're looking at it when Trevor is on. When Trevor's on, it's a better scrum on the tight head side, but it's some of the youngsters that they have that they're coming through, still learning their trade. That's where I feel will be a sort of a big work on for the Sharks going into the Rainbow Cup later on this month.
I think the hooker stocks as well. I mean, we saw a penalty try. The hooker got a yellow card for them.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
not it's not necessarily something you want to see when you're sort of exploring your options there in the front row.
Mm, mm. That's true. That's
Um,
true. But all around, I think there's some good flashes from the Bulls. Showing that they've got the right they've got the right ingredients. They've got the right plan. Of course, everybody else is also stepping up. I think the Bulls have just since Super Rugby unlocked Curry Cup, they've always just had that been a few steps ahead of everybody else. And now with this preparation series, everybody has had enough time to prepare.
yeah, it's
And
almost like they've had too much time now. It's like they're finished with their
yeah,
preparation. Whereas,
yeah,
I mean, like the Sharks are sort of hitting their stride right now. Stormers are sort of hitting their stride right now. It's like
yeah.
they're over it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think for them, they're just ready to sort of to go out there and start competing for silverware in a Rainbow Cup competition, of which I still believe that the Bulls the Bulls are our strongest side, based purely for me just from the coaching group that they have, and I mean they still have big name players and that are coming back, So yeah, for them I wouldn't be worried. For the Sharks, I'm
Kutsia
happy.
also coming in. I saw he was named in that
Yeah,
dream team.
in that dream team in Pro 14, and I think he's been a players player of the season as well. So they definitely have a big name player that's coming through, and he's just Mr. Consistent. And yeah, I feel the Bulls won't be too concerned outside of the scrum. Line out has been functioning well for them. Attacking players, well, they don't really have they don't have issues there. I think maybe it's just when there's different personnel, the defensive side of things,
Yeah.
that's where there's lapses in their system. But overall,
I think the past few weeks have also been an exercise in depth.
yeah,
Creel look like him and his brother is like the same guy there at 15.
yeah,
Kellerman had a solo try.
mm,
Port Heater caught Sia Kolisi slipping
yeah,
for a nice, a nice try for them. Apollos with the switch there. Apollos, who this is sort of the first time I would have liked to see him in more dry conditions, but this is the first time I'm
yes,
seeing the highly controversial man, high school player.
yeah.
So I mean, it's
Look,
good. It's good to see him get a run out. Although I would have liked to see him at 13.
yes, that's what I wanted to say now is that you want to see a guy like that, playing in his primary position where he made a name because to me, just on the look of it, he pace wise, maybe he's got that initial burst, but you can see that he's not a winger.
Yeah, he's not a winger.
He's not a winger. He's got the pace, yes, but he doesn't have a winger's pace. If you put him and Kurtley Orange next to each other, Kurtley Orange is gonna burn him. But at the same time, I understand. Some of the greatest centers that we've seen in world rugby, they started out their
Yeah,
careers
they
on the
always
wing
start you off there. Yeah.
and then move
Uh,
in the channels.
Main takeaway from me in this one was basically the Sharks, sort of
Mm.
the hands, and
Yes,
especially in these conditions, they look like, it looks like they're putting together something again. It's that same thing
yes,
of going back to last year and sort of where COVID first hit and they were touted as, championship sides. It looks like they're sort of
yeah.
back on that track.
Yeah, they definitely. I completely agree with you there. They are looking like they're finding that cohesion, man, that synergy amongst all the players, and they're raising their levels. And I mean, you look at it, they've got the players, and it's
That's
good
what I
balance.
wanted to ask, though. That's what I wanted to ask, though.
Mm,
Looking at the squad, you've got Yonka. Yonka also came in there, put in
hmm.
a nice try. There's questions about your inside center. Nohamba
Yeah,
came in, intercept try. There's questions
yeah.
about your scrum half. So
Mm.
that's what I wanted to ask you. Do you think there's going to be any changes to the starting lineup, or should there be?
I think they should be. I think you have to reward the guys that are showing consistency. I think you can't put dude. There's no price for consistency. Especially at this level. And I think what we've seen is that okay, yes, Nohamba is starting to now look to find that form and consistency again. Or let me not say consistency, but rather form. The question now is, can he be consistent? Because uh, a guy like Jaden Hendrickson has every time he's played, he's very seldom.
Tournament starts tomorrow. Who do you start?
I'll start with Hendrickson. I would, I would, purely on the fact that Hendrickson just he's seeming more settled and he's got a better control of the game at the moment when he's there. Nohamba, he brings that energy for sure, but the decision making aspect of it is still not up
Cohen
there.
Bosch. Cohen Bosch, Buta Chamberlain. Who do you start tomorrow?
I'll go with Buta Chamberlain. I'll go with Buta Chamberlain. I really do because I feel Curran Bosch as well. He's also sort of dubbed and he hasn't shown that. Yes, it's a preparation series, but he hasn't been as consistent as you would like for your 10. So I'll go with Buta Chamberlain. So yes, definitely, and I don't definitely there would be changes, but not too many, minimal changes, but the changes would have to be, like I say, you go with Hendrickson because you know what you're going to get with him he's a solid 9, and with those sort of changes, it does put guys not necessarily on notice, but makes guys really push harder, for their position in the team. That's the way that I'd be looking at it, if I was coaching.
Yeah, let's get into the next one. Greek was hosting the Pumas in a slightly greener than
Yeah.
usual. Kimberly, I don't know what was going on there. The staff have been working overtime.
Working
Um,
overtime, watering that grass and greener pastures. It seems like the results are coming.
yeah, this one, I mean, from the beginning, it looks like Pumas were struggling for territory, and
Mm.
when they did have territory, they were sort of struggling for ball retention. So I
Yeah.
thought that was sort of until halftime, that was sort of the story with them.
Mm.
Um, just trying to get out of their own half. Uh, the Eastern Cape's Quade Cooper, Koi Banda put in that up and under. Talyard knocking it on, and I think it was Lindsay kicking it to Kasende.
Yes,
Kasende got over for that one,
got over. Yeah.
and it was just that struggle. It was just that struggle to sort of move upfield that put them in that situation.
Yeah, I think the Pumas. It was a sort of uncharacteristic first off from them because usually what you've seen from them is that they are able to retain the ball, go through the phases, yes, in and play the right parts of the field, through their kicking game. Yes, in certain games you would have seen, one missed pass here and there where they drop the ball or it's a forward pass and it breaks down the momentum. But in this game, it was really uncharacteristic because, like all those points that you mentioned, they didn't have the territory, and then the Greekos, they just did well to sort of to capitalize on it. But then again, you credit the Pumas because then they being Pumas being the Pumas, they stay in the fight, and they kept on fighting in that game. At the end of the day, it was a tight one.
Yeah, it was a tight one. Nodia went off injured. That's a big miss for them. He's
Mm.
steadies that scrum. I think he was even
Yes,
was it forward of the year for them.
yeah,
Uh, then it started getting a bit niggly. I think
yeah,
Engelbrecht got a yellow.
he did.
Martins came in like Van Damme. Got a foot through. He came. It was
Look,
it was
guys.
that was some defensive midfield tackling there that lucky as the ref, but the ref seemed to that I don't know, the refing in this game I felt was very questionable. He could he was pushing to give a yellow. Rasta
Yeah,
even had to tell him like, no, you can't.
yeah,
He was
yeah.
he was determined to give a yellow there, but it would have looked bad if the TMO was telling you no and then you give it. So he looked determined. I think even later in the match, he
Yeah, he
just
was dishing out cards.
yeah.
Yeah, he was handing out business cards on the day. He was all about that. He really was all about that. I don't know, maybe he woke up on the wrong side of the bed and he just, today I'm
You know
like,
my thing is like the game is not about you, and I
mm,
feel like at some points he's making the game about him.
that's true. Yeah, that's true. And it did, like you say, he just had that determination it's almost like he wanted to prove a point, but sometimes we never know what the directive is from the top, in terms of the referees or what they're looking at on the day and things like that. And I think all we want as supporters and viewers is just consistency because I think we mentioned this
He
the
was
other week.
consistently shocking. That's what he was.
At least he got that right, but it's what we were saying the other week is that, like, it's almost in every game there's always a card. I can't remember the last time I watched a game and there wasn't a card for the whole 80 minutes.
This one, yeah, like this. I mean, later, I think Andre Smith gets a yellow for bad language. I didn't catch what
Mm,
he said, but I don't know. I don't know what he said, but if it was that bad that he gets a yellow,
yeah,
uh, I don't know. This one was just it was full of all that kind of stuff.
yeah, and look, and you understand because it's a derby between the two. Between the Griquas and the Pumas. Is to say who's the best, who's the best of the rest. And you can understand that there would have been the niggle expected. But in terms of the bad language, I think it raises the point. Sometimes maybe maybe the referees need to do post-match, and say, okay, on that yellow, because at the end of the day, it'll put everybody in the picture to say, okay, no, this is what happened, and we leave it there. If there needs to be any disciplinary action that happens afterwards, then that happens as well. But I think going forward, just in sports in general, it would be good to have just the referee's point of view, so that everybody has an objective sort of view, because we can sit here.
That's why they're mic'd up, so you can hear what they're saying. I mean, that's
True,
essentially.
But for me, it's a thinking process behind the decision. Because yes, they're mic'd up, and yes, in certain instances you can sort of tell that, okay, geez, this guy is leaning towards a yellow, he is leaning towards a red, he is determined for that. But it's just asking the why, just having that to say, why were you leaning towards that, and he can put down the factors, say, okay, this, that, and that, and then just giving us a bit more perspective and clarity. But all in all, it almost became just a hard watch, really, because of that.
I enjoyed it. I won't lie. I enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it because of the drama that was going on.
Yeah.
That I don't know. I felt like it was also one of those situations where the coaches are both like, we didn't teach them this. We didn't teach them this, but they're just going and doing their own thing. So I enjoyed it from that standpoint, where it was just like a good old me, you in the car park, and we sort this thing out. So that's what it felt like. These guys, they came out in the second half. The Pumas came out firing. I felt like they did well. They did well in that first half for not being able to get out. They came out firing. Talyard backed himself. I think that was after Valentine made the break. Then Talyard backed himself.
That was a good break by Valentine. The footwork as well, and I think the only thing you can sort of just highlight there is that perhaps the pass was on, would have been a better option, early.
But wingers back themselves. Klein Hans also putting in those big hits. It was like a momentum change for them.
I felt Klein Hans actually had one of his better games. I think in the past games he's been sort of doing all the dirty work, being unseen, and now it's sort of it was a balance of the dirty work and now also him having a bigger sort of impact and influence on the game through his hard work. So I don't think if I was him, he wouldn't. You can't question his contribution to the game.
Yeah, Westrad as well. He got a maul try. Someone that's always having an influence on the game lately.
Every time.
Griquas again. Hooker got a yellow. At one point, I think it was Griquas had 2 men down. That's when Pumas just sort of they failed to capitalize. Late on, I mean, I don't know what is it like. Griquas, they had a penalty on the 5 meter, and they were going for the maul. I think it was because of the success that the maul had against the Elephants last week.
Yes,
that they kept on going for line instead of maybe taking the points.
The points, yeah, true. Because geez, they almost don't get that one, in terms of the win because of that, because the Pumas are doing well, sort of repelling them, and I think the Pumas were expecting that.
Another yellow for Maqondwana. Then sort of to win it all, Eddie Fushia steps up and misses it. Yeah, unlucky from him. You would have backed him. You would have backed him.
Yeah. Like that's the thing, is that you'd have thought, and looking at the angle as well, you've seen him kick harder kicks, and you think, okay, look, it was a dramatic look from a drama perspective. Yes, that had everything. Dramatic finish. Even the coach is just like, oh my goodness, this is, you guys, even you can see he's saying
that's why I said I felt like it was entertaining. I felt like it was a high drama thing.
Is calling on his ancestors to say, come on, give me this one, and it didn't happen, unfortunately. But it's. I think it's those kind of games that the players they learn a lot from more than
Yeah,
the
I
big
think they
wins.
do, and also, I mean, I do. Besides the yellow cards, I do feel like the Pumas can also count themselves a bit unlucky with like some of the
Yes,
scrum calls. Some of the scrum
yeah.
calls were very questionable. Refing in this one,
I
the
think
less
refereeing
said,
in
the
general.
better.
I
The
mean,
less
refereeing
said,
in
the
general
better.
has just been, yeah, it leaves much to be desired, But you know what?
Yeah, moving on to the next one is EP cheaters because the Lions did not play this weekend. We do not acknowledge.
Oh, is that how it goes? Good.
We do not acknowledge that the Lions did not play this weekend. I don't know who they sent, but that wasn't the Lions. No.
No, that wasn't the Lions.
Stormers hosting at Greenpoint Lions team.
Mm,
From early on, they made a mess of the kickoff. The
yes.
new
Jeez,
fly
like 30
half, yeah,
seconds or how, yeah.
yeah, new fly off Abner van Reenen.
I
He
like
he
I
took
like him.
advantage.
I like him.
I
I
don't
like the
like
look of
him.
him. Of
I don't
course.
like him because he punished us. But he put in
Jeez.
that kick, the kick for Sinatla. Um, Lions. It took them a while. It took them a while to get going. They
Yes.
almost went over. Um, in front of the post, they had a penalty. They went for the Dwayne Vermeulen tap when you have a penalty in front
Yeah.
of poles. Apparently, they said this is some sort of Northern Hemisphere tactic that South African teams seem to be applying now.
Yes. It looks like it, I think, but I think the thing is as well, if you're looking at it, I think the thinking behind it is more about phase play and ball retention, because that's one of the things that you have to credit the Northern Hemisphere teams for, is that they have that ability
Yeah,
to
but you have to be
really.
good at that.
That's the thing, but I guess that's why they're doing it in the preparation series, to try
Yeah.
and hone that in a live situation, so you know, I don't look at this and I don't. Yes, the Lions did. I mean, I feel like Evie Falloon, from when he started at the Lions to where he is now, he's not looking good. From based on that game, because he made a couple of errors. But from the Lions, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried because the thing is I feel like there's just tweaks here and there that they need to make, and I think
You
it's
know
also
what?
it's
You know what the thing was in this game? The Lions couldn't retain possession,
mm,
which I think is a function of the fact that they played Sangweni and Chituka. I don't think
yeah.
either of them is a fetcher.
I think they're both big ball carriers because they're big
Yes.
boys. They're
So
big
now
ball
you've got
carriers.
you've got a situation where it's those two, and they're
Yes.
playing against Namaklaba, and he is the fetcher supreme.
Yeah,
You know,
man. Namaklava, welcome back.
you've
Welcome
got
back.
you've got him, and then you've got how many guys from the 7 sets up that are good on the ground.
Yeah.
So I mean, it doesn't. That's what I felt like was the main issue in this game, is that
Mm,
besides being caught sleeping a few times, they couldn't retain the ball. Stormers as well were just making better decisions out wide. Simulani got cooked.
oh, he did.
Yeah, he got
He
cooked on
did.
the outside. Van Rienen again, he made the 2-on-1, just
Yeah, the two on
took the
one.
forward on,
That
yeah.
movement. Oh, that try was all about him. It was all about him because put any other flower off there that doesn't have the footwork, that gets shut
Yeah.
down and potentially counteract and turnover, and the Lions have got turnover ball to play off. But you cannot, like I say, Van Reenen took advantage. And now what he's done, he's
Yeah,
given the
no, he took
Stormers.
he took he took full advantage. He took full
I
advantage
mean,
of
even
what
got a
happened.
drop goal. He even got a drop goal. And I feel
Yeah,
like
at that point, it was a joke. It was
he was like, I can do this as well, coach. And we're going north. So, you'll need this. You'll need this in the repertoire, and I feel like what he's done now, I feel he's really throwing the cat amongst the pigeons because now, you've got Cade Voliter, you've got Abner van Renen. Okay, do we even count him still? Okay, we count him because he's been playing. Okay, so it's fine, right? And then now you've got
I bet
your
they're
sort of,
looking at that Tim Swill contract like, "Ish, guys."
yeah, what did we do? How do we get out of this? They call the attorneys, because look, fact of the matter is that Kate Vulita and Abner van Renen, they're the future of that franchise, in terms of number 10. Damien Willemse, he needs to find a position very quickly because when Khalan comes back, that's what I want to get to is that it's further now highlighting, where is he going to play? Where's a guy like Damien Willemse going to play? In that backline, is it 15 now going forward? Is that his position? Is he now going to have to compete with Geland? And if so, so be it. But they need to settle on that. Stormers, you see the value of Namakaba. We spoke about him last year.
Yeah.
The Super Rugby Unlocked. He was looking good, and you can see it's almost like, I don't know, not in a bad way, but it's almost like with Sia Kolisi leaving, that pack, they seem to have a new lease on life. They're breathing fresh air. They just seem more cohesive and
It's there's different dynamics, once he then things sort of new personalities, new dynamics in the team. So I mean, that's something that you do like to see. I mean, even Abner van Renen coming in, you could see it's like it's a new dynamic. It's not
yes,
it's not as stale as it was.
yes, that's the thing. That's what you gotta like about them. Is that they have a good look about them now. The Stormers. The question is this? It's a preparation series. The question now is, can they find, number one, the balance to be able to build consistency in the performance? Because at the end of the day, that's what's going to count. Right now, these games don't mean a thing. You can't look too much into these games in a
As a Lions
preparation.
supporter, I fully agree with that. That did not mean anything.
But it's really all about seeing, knowing, okay, I've got this guy, that guy, that
Yeah,
guy. These are my
yeah.
guys.
That's
You
why I
know,
think like them playing Sangweni, they know he's not a six, but I think they just
yeah,
wanted to give him game time.
yes,
But
because I feel like if you look at the way, not that they similar, him and Chituka likes to run more with the ball, right? So Chituka could easily slot in at eighth man if he had to, but I feel like one of the reasons why they had Sangweni and Chituka in the same team as well, like you said, number one, game time. But maybe what they were looking to do, they were looking to bruise the Stormers, from a ball carry perspective. Unfortunately, they just didn't have ball to carry, and it didn't work out.
yeah,
So that's why I say, equally for the Lions, as I said with the Stormers, the balance. If they can get that balance right, because a player like Sangweni, for me, just in this preparation series, I feel like, you can see he looks comfortable at this level. He looks comfortable in the Lions setup, and you want to see more of him. Because at some point you can't play Chituka into the ground as well, as I said, because he's been playing. So
yeah. No, he's put in a lot of minutes. He
he
definitely
has.
has.
You see, so I think there's a sort of a bigger picture that the Lions are looking at. So if I'm the Lions, I'm not too concerned with that result. I'm really not too concerned with that result. One thing that I am concerned about is that there are certain players that maybe they have shown glimpses, but no, they've shown before that, okay, they can hang at this level, but then now their consistency is almost dropping, and then they're making uncharacteristic mistakes. Similani getting cooked, it's a good lesson for him.
Yeah,
From a defensive point of view, because he's also as brilliant as he is. There are things that he also still needs to learn, to make him a world class.
yeah. And if you look back at that play, he actually he shot and then he tracked, and
Yeah.
he didn't track fast enough because he
Yes.
thought this guy is in my range. He
Yeah.
thought so. Number one, he shot and it didn't work. Then he
Yes.
track, and then he thought this guy's in my range, and then Rowan now said, "No,
No.
I'm not in your range."
Yeah. Look, geez, look, Ruan now. Talking about Ruan now, I've always rated him, and I think at a point,
I've always rated him from when he was at Wits. I
yeah,
always rated him.
yeah,
He
yeah,
was playing in that Wits side. I think he was playing at 15, and he was one of the only at that point he was one of the only Lions players, contracted Lions players that was at Wits.
yeah,
And it almost looks like he was playing at a frustration because he was clearly above this level, and they
yeah,
sort of threw him there with no one else. So he was almost doing things. He was almost like, "Why did you guys put me here and not UJ?"
yeah, yeah.
That's how he was playing. So I mean, since then I've always rated him. At 13, I don't know if he's 13, but I think that's
I think,
also, there's too many
I
15
think,
in that province.
yeah, I think he can play at 13. I think even, I think if need be, he's a kind of player because of the Sevens experience, Sevens background. He's a kind of player you can even put at 12. For the Storms, because he's a strong ball carrier. You need a foil because you take Ricus Pretorius out at 12, who I feel he's shown that, okay, look, he's good enough for this level, but take him out. Who do you have that's going to give you that sort of front foot ball as well, that has that ability to put in maybe a little kick, to run out's got a good passing game, and he's also good on the ground as well, in terms of contesting the ball. So in the centers, I really like him. I felt even a couple of seasons ago he was very close to breaking it into the Springbok setup, you know,
Yeah.
at the time. So he's definitely. I think we'll still have to see, but I think he's definitely one that potentially could put his name in for Springboks selection. Being part of the bigger squad, especially with the British and Irish Lions coming through. I kind of feel like a lot of the players, yes, there's incumbents, but there's a clean slate as well. There's a lot of players that are going to have opportunities.
Yeah, Mbonambi, he got a try as well there, and always nice to
I love the
see.
celebration.
Yeah, I love it when he gives it to them. I love it. Um, Lions as well messing up from deep. Creel should
Yeah,
have held his line. I think he came in for like a shorter, sort of almost like a switch.
yeah. Talking about that, I feel like Similani's vision and attacking prowess is with some of the players, his rugby IQ is slightly higher than everybody else, because no, honestly, because what else? No, let's ask the question, right? You take, I think initially early on, even for last season, Dan Creel was the incumbent, right, at number 12.
I think it's a function of Dan Creel being not used to being on the outside and being the one in that 12 channel, where Simulani was the
yeah,
one this time feeding him on the outside.
creating, but
Yeah. But I mean,
but
as
but
a
but
center, you should be interchangeable to some point,
yes,
to some
especially
degree.
especially on attack. I mean, think about it. If you look at that, for me, that just looks like a drill.
Yeah.
That is
I don't
a
know.
drill.
I'll give him the benefit of the doubt in that
Okay,
maybe he was tired. I'll give him
yeah,
I'll give
that's why
him
I
that.
wanted to come in. That's why I wanted to come in short. Okay, we can,
Or
we
maybe
can.
or maybe it was late in the game. It was late in the game. So maybe the
It
guy was
was.
just tired. He lost his head.
Yeah, and he wasn't seeing the space seeing where the space was going to be, because Similane did all the work.
But if it was me, I would have hit that gap. That's all I'm saying.
Because I know you'd have hit the gap, quarters. I know you love yourself a gap and a goose.
I would have been through. I'd have been hitting them up. Like I would have been under the post. But that's that's a story for another day.
Yeah, but look, you know, the way that Similane opened up that space, that for me, you can take just that little highlight reel, of how he opened up that space, and that just shows you the quality of player that he is. He's deep in his own 22, and he jinxed those two defenders. He did all the work, and like I say,
it's similar to what Abner van Reenen did in the first half.
Yeah, but overall, it's exciting. The players that we have, you have to admit, if you look at the Currie Cup and Super Rugby Unlocked, the quality, we were bemoaning this last year, and yes, we attributed it to COVID, because the guys weren't playing for long. But now we've been seeing, and I think we've said it in the past few episodes recently, that the quality factor of it is so much better. And look, it's just unfortunate that we won't be seeing our guys playing against, the Aussies and the Kiwis, from an attacking point of view. Because
I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, because I feel like from an attack perspective, we're actually looking better, getting better than we were in previous years, But it's the way that the roll of the dice right now, and pro rugby, it's going to be interesting.
Yeah, Pelser got a cross kick, landed up finishing. I think maybe if Pelser, he's more of a 6. If he had started for the Lions, I think maybe things might have been a bit different. Raz Matwani, him also, he's back.
Welcome back, Rabs.
We were. I was worried. I didn't know. I didn't know what was happening there. I thought they were gonna put a case on my guy. I didn't know what was gonna happen.
Yeah, he's gonna put a case of him drinking out of his friend's water bottle, but we don't know.
So yeah, I'm happy he's back. It was a nice set move there. Like I said, this game did not happen, so we'll just move on. We'll move on to the next one. Cheetahs against Eastern Province. Radebe back at 10. It was scrappy early on. Cheetahs very, very strong team, but particularly the loose forwards. In Nsila at 10. We're fans of Nsila on this show. Nsila at 10, Masain, Mahoje, very, very strong loose trio.
Yeah, geez. I mean, for me, that's the most balanced loose trio that you're going to find that's around, in the country. And again, with EP, you would have been worried if the Cheetahs didn't overpower the EP like they did. There would have been many questions to say, oh, this is why you're not in pro rugby because of this, But look, overall, like you say, scrappy, yes. But one thing that I can say, like a guy like Ini Radebe, you can see that this guy belongs at this level.
There's a few guys that belong at this level. We saw Pai. He was enjoying his time out there. He really enjoyed his time out there.
Is that the number 19? No, is it the
winger? Olela Pai. He scored. He got 2 tries. The first one, they had sustained pressure. Mohoje went off, and then they had a scrum. They built one phase, and then he went out wide and found them.
I'm thinking about those, late on in the game when the Cheetahs were knocking and EP was showing the fight. the EP loose forwards, and then the tight forwards, they're sort of stepping up. So in my mind, I'm thinking that you're talking about the number 19. I didn't get his name, but for me, the one thing that stood out for me from an EP point of view is that they stayed in the fight. Never mind the scoreboard.
Yeah.
They stayed in the fight to say, okay, look, you've scored enough points now. Just stop it. And they had that urgency all the way right through to the end. So that's one of the things that stood out for me. That's what I was thinking about.
At one point there was sort of the cohesion of the cheaters and the fitness caught up. So it was at that point the gate was open. But there was times, I mean, that sustained pressure where they got a yellow.
Yeah.
The scrums held up well. I'm a fan of Nzuzo. There's guys that are
Nzuzo was good. Yes.
Yeah. Another Raiders alumni. But yeah, there's guys that can hang at this level. Cheaters as well. They had a good showing.
They did.
Who was it? Reno Smith. Reno Smith had a really good game.
Yeah, he did. He was it was his day. It was his day. Everything he touched was just working out for him.
Intercept, try, inside, outside, and fed the hooker who also had Arnaldi also had a good one. Mahoja got over some good link play. Craig Barry, we haven't seen him in a while, I think.
In a while, yeah.
Yeah, he also had a good one. I think it was Miller. It was his debut. One of those guys that sort of same as Volatile, where they try and go over and then came back. I think he had two. He had two tries in the first 10 minutes.
Yeah. Look, and he looked good. His good paces, good size on him as well. For a speedy man. And it just like when you just think about it, the production line in South African rugby is, look, we're blessed. We're blessed as a country to have so many players, so many options. The next thing that you have to sort of not question, but really stress is, let's have these guys being competitive. Let's figure out a way to keep these guys active. Like the guys at EP, like you say, there's guys there. I think everybody, the rugby plug, is seeing that. There's guys that can play.
I mean, when you see what Pai did, it's sort of like how Mapimpi, you would see Mapimpi.
Yes.
It's the sort of thing that he would do when he was still playing for Border and they would play against other clubs, or he was playing for the Kings and they would play. It's sort of the same thing that you've seen. So there are, there's guys that can hang at this level, but like you said, they just need to keep playing. Radebe, we know he can play at this level. Vena, like he looks like he can play at this level.
He does, and you've also got what is that CJ Philemon as well.
Yeah, I think with him it was this injury. So there's a lot of guys that can hang at this level.
Yeah, exactly. And that's why I'm just thinking. You have to wonder. What the sort of broader vision is for rugby, because I mean you've got Boland as well. You've got EP. You've got I think the Griffins, and you've got the Falca, and you've got the Leopards. That's there's the 5 teams. I don't know who else I'm missing.
SWD.
Then you've got SWD as well. That's 6. And then throw in the Pumas, Griquas, and Cheetahs. Those are 9 teams that are not playing in the Rainbow Cup. Let's have them active. Create some sort of a tournament or whatever it is, so that these guys are playing. Because 9 teams, that's enough to have. It's enough to have a sort of a mini league. Where these guys continuously play. It's just. I think from a passion perspective, you want to see more rugby. You want to see, where these guys are going to come from. Yes, there's Varsity Cup. We understand, but not everybody is going to make it through the Varsity Cup channel. Mapimpi didn't,
Yeah.
So it's a thing. Lucanio was also at border as well. So it's that thing to say, let's give these guys that exposure so that they can
Yeah, and I mean,
show.
when you see in New Zealand, you sort of see, the way that they do it there with ITM Cup and that, and how many
Mm,
teams they have.
yes.
It's I think they do a much better job of it. You know, especially I
Mm,
think separating how they've separated them and still manage
yes.
to keep interest and keep people
And have
coming to watch.
yes, because they've
So
got the top players playing everywhere.
yeah, so I think maybe we need to take a page out of their book and sort of examine that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and I don't think there'll be anything wrong with going that route, and just seeing, okay, what could this model potentially work, or how do we plug it in, or are we taking, our best sort of age group players, and we sticking them in those units, because that those guys have got the quality, and then ensuring, because SA Rugby, they have those
Yeah,
mobile units that go around, and go around and ensuring that all those unions, they have the particular blueprint, and that's needed. It's essentially, you give them all the tools to succeed, and succeed, not necessarily doesn't necessarily always mean that you're going to win every game, but you need to be able to see that there is a progression in this player's sort of
and
development
game
and
time,
career.
because that's
Yeah,
how many guys have not made it because they just don't have game time.
yeah,
You might have a
that's
contract, but if you're not playing, you're not playing.
that's the thing. I mean, geez, Diego Apollos, I almost forgot about him. And yes, fine, he's still under 21 and whatever, but you, you can't blame you wouldn't blame somebody if they're like, oh, who's that? Because you heard about him to your school. Everybody knows the controversy there with what was going on, and then you don't see him. Like,
I
oh,
won't lie, I love those stories. I love those stories.
hmm.
The kind of thing I love
So
to hear.
you know what I mean. So it's just, look. I think all in all, like if you're looking at this from a preparation point of view, I think our teams, yes, now these guys, they are prepared. But I don't think they, as much as they're prepared, you can only be so prepared. You need to. I don't think they're as prepared for the weather that's going to hit them. Once they go there. But
Well, maybe the Sharks are. Maybe the Sharks saw how they did it.
yeah, maybe. But luckily, when the competition officially kicks off in a few weeks' time, it's going to be it's going to be local rounds. So it gives guys a chance to, which I don't necessarily agree with the way the tournament is starting, because all that means is that either way, there are going to be some South African teams that are behind the eight ball, because there will be two losers on the day unless all the teams draw, which I don't see happening.
Yeah, but all we can do is look forward to that.
Mm,
I'm definitely looking forward to that. I think
I am.
those first rounds, especially once we get those out of the way, then we can sort of see
Yes.
where we stand
Mm.
amongst the guys. So,
Yeah.
any closing remarks?
Oh no. Look, for me, I don't have anything. I'm just sad that there's no SA rugby this weekend. So we have to binge watch on Aotearoa and AU. So it's
Yeah,
it's it's fine. I'll take my slice of Aotearoa. You know.
definitely. And some controversy there. Guys talking about parties going on there.
Oh
Uh,
jeez. But
it, it,
talking about that, it's just those guys. There's always, the alcohol. We think we've got alcohol problems here in South Africa. There's other countries where they have issues. Even with the athletes, they're acting like our soccer players this side. It's just, I remember there's a time with our soccer players this side where there's always alcohol related situations.
yeah,
But those guys there,
yeah. No, those
funny.
guys. They're real professionals. Let's just put it that
They
way.
are. But look, they turn controversy and the adversity into success. You know, those the Highlanders, and they managed to pull one over the Crusaders this morning. So, geez, I think this is a sort of a shock result. But I'm glad because you get, not that you get tired, is that one thing that I enjoy about the Crusaders is that it forces everybody else to think out of the box to say, okay, how do you beat these guys? And it
Yeah,
lifts the level. And that's why I say it's just disappointing that our guys, don't know for how long we're not gonna see any rugby against those guys. Because for me, it's always been, it's what we've always known, is Super Rugby, and that's where we've always rated and gauged our players against those guys, and I think even for them, so yeah.
yeah. I mean, it's like I just saw on I think it was SA Rugby magazine where they had Krobula. They watched Krobula that played for the Lions, and they sort of
Yes.
had his like best 15, and then
Mm.
you see the likes of Chris Jack, Doug Howland,
Ooh,
Latham, you know, and I just thought like we're no longer gonna see this. Not
yeah,
really, you know,
not
because
really, yeah,
that guy got to see those guys week in, week out for a number of years.
yeah,
So I mean, you're not gonna it's not gonna be the same when you ask the players coming through, they're gonna be talking about guys in the northern hemisphere.
yeah. And look, and the guys in the northern hemisphere don't seem relatable to us. It's the north and
They're
south,
not.
basically.
They're not.
You know, and then talking about that, I also I think it was a sort of a conversation between, was it Ben Smith and Willie Leroux, and they were talking about that same thing, about how, Ben Smith was saying about how they used, they look forward to testing themselves and challenging themselves against the South Africans and the Australians, but especially the travel to Africa, and the different conditions, the hostile environments and things like that. And equally, Villarreal is talking about that, from a skill factor that, and it's the reality sort of starting to come and sink in now that, we're not going to see this,
It's hard to say goodbye. That's
yeah,
it's
it
hard to say
is,
goodbye.
we're excited for pro rugby, yes, but at the same time, it's like, oh no, man, like, there goes, it's like, this has been a long-term relationship, man, like, this has been a
We'll
marriage,
see. We'll see. And it's like I don't know. We'll see what happens, but it'll definitely be interesting. Like for example, if we end up battering them, then what's gonna happen? You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
Like maybe 2-3 weeks in, all SA sides are winning and winning by large margins. Like things
yeah,
like that. It's like
yeah,
then you're gonna look and say, sort of for the strength of SA rugby, is this the best thing? So I mean,
exactly.
we can only speculate until then. We can only speculate
Until,
until then.
yes,
And I think yeah, that's it for this episode.
yep.
Thanks for watching. Have a good
Hmm.
weekend, a good long weekend.
Yeah.
And that's Dummy Switch Pod out.